What's up, everybody? This is Sean with Morning Lifter. Got another great guest today for the Strength and Leadership podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today, I have an intense Nautilus owner, gym owner, and probably I think living your own American dream. But his name is Codey, and he owns the Trinity Str3ngth Gym in Oklahoma. You'll have to remind me of the city. But
it's in Moore.
Okay, in Moore, Oklahoma, and he's got more equipment than I've ever seen for especially some of the old school stuff. And that was one of the things that really caught my eye. The way I guess we got introduced was I had picked up a couple Nautilus pieces, and you had sent me a message, and we just kind of started talking from there. And I think what's really cool is, you know, the way that fitness brings so many people from different backgrounds and lifestyles together. But Codey, what I want to know first is, you know, within the last year, I mean, geez, man, you've gone from a garage to, I guess, medium-centered training gym to a humongous warehouse. So kind of talk to me about how you were able to get this thing moving. What was it that made you decide that you wanted to start your own gym?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just kind of like, you know, most people that are kind of into this thing, like really into it, you know, everybody kind of wants to open up their own gym. And, of course we always kind of just, you know, thought that was just dreams or whatever, never really happened. But a buddy of mine that I met at just working out at Gold's, he would, you know, kind of spot me every once in a while. And we just kind of got closer and closer. And we actually went to the same school, same college. We had the same break time. And we just kind of kept talking about starting a garage gym and always wanting a gym and just kind of dreaming, you know. And well, we kind of finally started, we each actually started up a garage gym. And anyway, we both had a few things, and eventually we just combined setups. And then we had doubles of some things, so we sold that. And, you know, it just started off just to have a garage gym. And we just kept doing that. And then it just kept growing, and seemed like it took forever. Seemed like we never had any equipment, and we were getting real creative. And like I see you do all the time, you're always setting up some cool stuff. We were always, we were doing the same thing and making stuff. And man, we just kind of stumbled into it, really. I mean, it was always the dream, like I said, but we just kind of, like, you know, we'd find a piece of equipment up for sale, and it would be better than something we had. So then we would turn around and sell that piece. And then we kind of done that a few times, and we realized there's a market for selling this stuff.
Yes, there is.
And there, you can make a lot of money from it. And so anyway, we just kind of kept doing that, and just kept really building some traction, and eventually outgrew my garage. And then that's kind of when we really realized, like, this is actually a thing we're going to do. And so anyway, that was my partner, Steve, that we started out with us. And so we started filling in his garage after we filled up mine. I think at one point my garage had I think it was like 24 machines or something, and with a squat rack and a deadlift platform, and like everything was functional. You had to climb around some stuff, but it was pretty sweet having all that. And then once we filled up his garage, we had a buddy that started working out with us, and he's kind of our business guy. So he started working out with us because he wanted to lose some weight. And he ended up losing like 50 pounds or so, and started getting pretty healthy. And anyway, he had been to business school and all that, and he was definitely knew a lot more about that side of things than us. And funny enough, me and Steve, when we first started this, when we were first talking about it, we were talking about that we wanted to just we didn't want to make any money on the gym. We just wanted to make just the coolest gym ever, and just endlessly just reinvest in it, and just like essentially like that. And Anyway, Preston was that other guy, and he was like, yeah, you guys are stupid. Why would you do that? And so he's like, you guys should make some money here. You guys got a cool concept. And so anyway, we kind of slowly kept talking business with him. And then we ended up settling on a deal that he essentially bought in and became our third partner. And always before, we were just kind of scraping up pennies, to find equipment here and there, and then buying and selling stuff, like I said. And so it was kind of slow. But then once Preston came aboard, and we got some money from him, that kind of really jump started things, because by that time we had already built so many contacts up as far as finding this stuff. And so I mean, it was just a matter of having the money in hand, and we were going to go. And so that was early at the start of this year in January. And so we really started going really fast and finding stuff left and right. And we ended up, we filled up Steve's garage. And of course, my garage was completely full, but it was spread out so that we could work out in there. And then we filled up Preston's garage. And then we even filled up my mother-in-law's garage. So she
was thrilled about that.
Oh yeah. So she had all the Nautilus stuff in her garage, all that. And so, man, we've had some interesting trips.
Yeah, I mean, you guys seem to be. I mean, you're like scraping the ends of the earth here to find some. I mean, you guys have posted some stuff that not only looks like something that should be in a traveling circus, but some things that just are incredibly rare. I saw I think it was the Cybex wrist roller that you recently picked up. There was the what was it, the H squat, the giant yellow horizontal squat. I mean, talk about that piece.
That piece, I saw that a while back, and it was the same thing for me. Whenever I saw it, I was just taken back. I was like, wow, that's the craziest thing. And man, and if funny enough, there was a guy a long time ago, kind of when we were first like really starting to get some cool stuff. There was a guy that somebody posted a video of it, and then somebody tagged me in, and they were like, man, Trinity Strength needs to get one of these. And I was like, oh man, I'd already been looking for. I mean, that's a hard piece to find. It's really rare.
Oh yeah.
To my knowledge, they only made like 600 of them, and so they're super hard to find. And so anyway, it was an impossible piece to find, and we've done that many times. So it's like, at this point, I mean, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I mean, we've done the impossible like a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, every time you post something, it's like you guys are like Indiana Jones. I mean, you guys are pulling stuff out of your back pocket here that nobody knows, and I just, every time I'm completely amazed that you bring in something, and it's like, every piece has the giant caps of ultra rare, and I'm thinking, well, that sounds about right.
We well, and the thing is we really haven't even there's a lot of stuff out there that we really haven't even tapped into the real cool stuff. I can say it's like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of been on our radar, but again, so I mean, like I said, we're finding this rare stuff, but what makes it even more difficult on top of that is we're finding it at a budget. So
right.
There's been not a single machine that we've spent over $1,000 for in the entire gym. And most of it has been significantly under. And a lot of it we've bought in multiples and then turned around, sold the other machines, and then it paid for that and we made a profit off of it.
Wow.
So there's been a lot of these times where we've made money picking up these rare machines. And that's actually what we did with that forearm machine yesterday is we actually picked up a prone leg curl and a mid-row Cybex back machine. And so they're missing a couple parts I need to order, but it's like $20 in parts. And that was the whole purpose. We just went and picked up those. We're going to turn around and sell those and just keep reinvesting. And now we essentially are going to walk away with that forearm machine for free and some money in our pocket. And so that's kind of just how we've done things. And right now, like our space that we currently have, it has it has like a detached garage outside, and so we kind of keep extra equipment out there that we just buy to sell. So
That's
it's been,
awesome.
yeah.
What got you into the machine aspect of it? Because you're a pretty strong cat to begin with. I mean, you know, I've seen you competed in competitions and you've set quite a few records. And but I mean, the majority of your gym, I mean, it appears to be at least primarily machine based. So
Yeah.
what kind of brought you over to that end? And you know, what's the feedback from a lot of the customers? I mean, are you getting people coming from different areas just to try out some of the cool stuff that you have?
Yeah, so yeah, that we actually that was originally the goal, was to do more of like a powerlifting style gym, is just because that's what I do, you know. And so anyway, we started off with having that kind of just more powerlifting stuff, and getting like camera strength machines, and you know, just your general machines that we knew were good. Um, and I'm not sure where we stumbled upon it. And I know, you know, me and you have kind of briefly talked about some of these other people, but I just kind of stumbled upon some of these people on Instagram that had these just equipment that again, like you said about us, is this just stuff that you never seen
Yeah.
before. And anyway, just we were intrigued, and so we kind of started asking about it, and we just started following all these different people, and there's just kind of there's a little community of just people who collect really cool rare equipment. And anyway, so I just kind of kept all those people in my back pocket, and anytime I would find something that was unique or I didn't know what it was, I'd message them about it. Hey, what is this? Is this any good? And they're, oh my gosh, that's a really rare piece, you need to grab that. So we're like, okay, I don't know what it is, I've never used it, but. And then we just then when we used it, we're like, wow, this is amazing. So I mean, most of this stuff I have never used, but at this point, I've seen these people use these things, and I've seen them talk about them, and I've just kind of learned enough about it from just that little community. And so that's kind of how we got into that. And there's a bunch of people that I still every once in a while will reach out to ask about. But yeah, we do have people that do travel to come check out our gym. We've had people from out of state, Arkansas, Texas, people from further cities in Oklahoma. Um, we get a lot of people that whenever we posted that H squat, that whole week it like blew up for us. And we probably had like 10-day passes like every day after that for like a week or two. People literally just coming just because they saw that. And so
Yeah, I mean, well, with the bright yellow and I mean, it's just
yeah.
like a come here, spend your money kind of sign. I mean, just looking at it, even if you don't
Yeah.
enjoy lifting, it seems like you'd be remiss not to at least give it a shot. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks again, it's like something that you would see at almost like a county fair or something, it seems like. But
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is so stinking big. I mean, did anybody ever give you the history on why something like that was built and why it's so stinking big?
I could never find anything exactly like that. I know that Arthur Jones, or not Arthur Jones, Gary Jones, that was one of his designs. Um, and I'm not sure why it's that big, but I just assume like if you ever use it, it's actually a really awesome piece. So it looks crazy, but it's actually very functional. So the way it loads, it's really glute heavy, but it takes all that stress off your lower back and on your like on your stomach. You know, when a leg press just really loads heavy, it's just, and you're on your knees. It's just like the smoothest feeling machine. It's hard to explain. I mean, it literally feels like you're like squatting on a cloud or something. It's really weird, but it's really awesome. And so yeah, I'm not sure, but I just, the way it leverages, I would imagine that's why it's so large, is because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks goofy, but I mean, everybody loves it. I mean, there's a few I mean, we have a lot of cool stuff, but there's like a handful of machines that just everybody seems to talk about, and that's one of them. There's the standing chest press. Everybody loves that
That
one.
one is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen Brian Shaw use that a lot.
Yeah. Standing chest press. There's this ground base hammer machine. It's like it's a shrug machine. A lot of people love that one.
I remember seeing that
Um,
when you brought that in.
yeah. Yeah, a few of these pieces. I mean, there's some really unique, cool stuff, but like kind of that shrug machine's kind of random, but some people really love that thing. That and like just like that forearm thing, a lot of stuff like that. It's not really a necessity, but that was something that we always like to do, is find just those little things that just kind of sit in the corner, but it's like, man, nobody has that. And
Yeah.
it's just something really cool that somebody sees that, and it may only be applicable to one person, but they'd be like, they come in, they're just like, man, that is the coolest thing,
Yeah.
and so we try to get things that stand out like that. And so,
Yeah. I think it's you guys definitely have a great strategy, I think, in how you are marketing your gym, because not only do you not have or excuse me, not only do you have some pretty rare pieces, but you've got I think with the unique equipment, it's brought back like a vintage fun updated feeling, because a lot of people, they might think that all lifting is benching, squatting, deadlifting, like all the free weight stuff, and you kind of re-exposed in a lot of ways the old ways, from the 70s and 80s, when it was really machine heavy, and Arthur
yeah,
Jones really, he really changed the attitude of a lot of people, and many ways in those 70s and 80s reinvented fitness,
yeah,
and um, and got people excited about fitness, because it was like, wait a minute, I don't have to do 8 sets of bench press. I can do a full body workout in 20 minutes and be done. Tell me more. And all of a sudden,
yeah.
uh, he's got a multi-million-dollar plant on his hands. So what about, I'd like to know your thoughts on Nautilus. What got you into Nautilus? Was it hammer strength first, and then kind of finding out that Arthur Jones was the godfather of it, or the other way around? How did you get into some of the Nautilus lines?
Yeah, so the Nautilus stuff was actually probably the first real cool like equipment haul we ever did. I mean, we had before that we had gotten a few older things. We had gotten like a couple flex pieces. It wasn't anything special, just some of the selectorized stuff, and like maybe a couple Icarian things. So we had some old stuff, but nothing real rare yet. So those Nautilus pieces. Um, those were probably the first rare pieces we got. And so anyway, we whenever we first saw that was kind of where it kind of started with us really getting into this rare stuff. Was there was a few of those machines. We actually bought 9 of them all together
I
when
remember
we
that.
first got them. Yeah. And so when we first saw them, we actually only wanted a few of them, and I'm glad we didn't do that, but it was just because we simply didn't know what they were. I mean, literally, it was just, they looked so weird. And even then we were like, man, those just look so funky. Like, how can they even be good, And so just like reaching out to people, and everybody's like, oh man, those are really rare. Those are awesome pieces too. They just simply like are just great designs. And so we tried we tried to kind of haggle with the lady and work out. We were still trying to work out a deal with her just to get a few of them. And anyway, they had been posted for like a year or two, and I remember seeing it for a long time, but it was it was like 3 hours away from us in a small town called Shattuck, Oklahoma. And anyway, we could never work out a deal with her. It was an all or nothing, and that she wasn't taking a penny less for it. And I guess she had already had I mean, there was people interested, but nobody ever would come and get it just because of how much of a haul it was going to be. And
Yeah.
so anyway, this was probably it was most definitely our most difficult haul. So at the time, my wife was still working, and so I had to take my son with us. and he was only probably 6 months old at the time. And so it was just me and Steve, and we have a trailer that we borrow from his father-in-law, and it's like a car hauler trailer. And I mean, it's got a massive capacity on this thing, which we never even asked what it was, but we did after the fact because what happened. But anyway, so I had to take my son with us, and this is a 3-hour drive. So we get there, and she had told us that her husband and she had a couple teenage sons that would be able to help us load everything. Well, we got there, and she was like in a hurry, and she's like, "Yeah, sorry, they weren't able to help today, so it's just up to you guys." And so essentially we were like, okay. She literally laughed at us. She's like, well, she's like, good luck, you guys might want to try to go around town or something to find some people to help you, because she was like, the double chest machine, she was like, it took like 8 people just to get it in there. And so we were like, oh my gosh. And we had came ready for war, though. I mean, we knew it was going to be hard, so we rented a pallet jack, and we got a bunch of dollies, and we bought like 50 straps. And anyway, so it was like we're loading this stuff little by little, trying to kind of figure out. Some of those pieces are really light, actually, like the rowing torso. That's a pretty light one.
Yeah.
I mean, a few of them were pretty easy to move, and they're small, and so that wasn't a problem. But my son was screaming because there was nobody at the gym. It was just like, she just left us. I mean, literally, she left us and her gym was still I mean, it was closed for the day, but I mean, it was still like a gym that was in business, and she just was busy doing something. So she just left it open for us. And anyway, she kind of had like a little nursery thing. So she had like a little jumper in there. So I just put him in that, and I'm trying to deal with him, keep him calm between moving machines, and we're stressed out. We hadn't ate because we like to just kind of go through, and just hurry and get these things done. So we're hungry, we're tired, and my son's screaming. And it was like, it ended up taking us, I think, 5 or 6 hours to load all the machines. And it was just the most unfortunate circumstances, because we had to go down, I mean, literally a hallway, like they would be like in your house. That's how we had to take. It was in this back room, and then you had to go down this long hallway, and then it went into this little back room, and there was a makeshift ramp made out of planks, and there was a piece of plywood on top of it, and then a rug. And and it was pretty steep, so we had to like kind of get the machines and run up the ramp as fast as we could to try to get it up without stopping. And so it was difficult. And I mean, it was truly a miracle that we got all that stuff out of there, because she thought we were going to have to take multiple trips. And anyway, we ended up, that double chest, it took us a minute to figure out how to move that thing. From what I've heard, it weighs like 12 or 1,300 pounds.
Yeah, that is, I think out of all of the equipment, that's probably the most intimidating. And I know exactly, I know your pain, because I had to move a double chest. Right before the pandemic hit, I had to move a double chest with my dad, who's 65. So, and it was me, him, and the other guy who I had picked up the other 2 pieces from. And he had worked with Arthur Jones, and he had told me some stories about all of the equipment and everything else. And so I know it. You sit there and you think for a minute, like, how in the hell is this going to work? And it is, and it's just so awkward. And
the weight's all distributed like all over it too. Normally there's like a leverage point, where the stack, you can just kind of tilt it, but it's just heavy everywhere.
It really is.
But that was that trip. We were actually so me and Steve were actually going to do a powerlifting meet, and it was a week out from that, actually. And typically I mean, you just pretty much rest that week. You don't do anything, but we were going week after week picking up equipment at this point. And like I said, this was 1 week out from our meet when we picked up that Nautilus stuff. And I mean, we were just flat beat up after that. I mean, that was just, on our way home, we were cramping. And it's kind of funny. This has happened multiple times, but like, there's a lot of times where we picked up a lot of stuff, and it's just like, you're so exhausted that it's like you're almost like kind of high or something. You're like, just like delirious, So like those are the fun times though, we'll be driving back and it's just like we're just cracking up laughing about just being beat up. But we had that meet like a week out and we were like, man, like we didn't even want to do it. And anyway, so we were like, man, well, it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is about 2 hours from us. But a lot of people from the OKC area had come out. So we were like, well, let's just do it anyway and just go and just kind of try to market with people because we were getting close with, trying to open. And so like, let's just kind of get our name out there and talk with people. And so anyway, we were doing some warm-ups and I saw this guy that was pretty big. And again, I've only kind of been in the powerlifting world. I mean, I follow bodybuilding as far as like kind of the Olympia and stuff, like the big names, but I don't know a whole lot about bodybuilding. And so anyway, there was a guy there that was really jacked, and so I was like, well, I overheard him saying something about working out at a gym in OKC. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to try to talk to this guy, see if we can get him to follow us and, maybe come check out our gym when we open. And, well, turns out this guy ends up being our fourth business partner. I started telling him our story and kind of what we were doing. And he was just like dumbfounded. He was like, this is literally exactly what I was about to do. He's like, I've been looking for a gym like that for a long time. And so, and he's a pro bodybuilder. He has his pro card and everything. And so, he has a huge following in our area. And so that's been a huge part of us getting a lot of business as well. And so anyway, at first, he just kind of followed along. And then when we opened, I mean, it was about a week within us opening, at our first location that, he had already kind of started from the beginning that he was already kind of wanting to be a part of it. And, it just started growing really fast. And, we already needed to expand, like rapidly within that first month. And he was already talking about it. And so we were like, well, let's do it. And so, we brought him aboard and, it's like a whole long story on that part, as far as, what happened at that building. But our landlord, we learned real fast in the business world, the sharks that are out there. And so, man, he did some sketchy stuff. And, we actually, we were never able to obtain our occupancy permit, because he never did the plumbing permit and, for his building. And he got mad at us for trying to do that because he realized he was going to get in trouble. And then he tried to claim he didn't know we were a gym, even though we told him exactly what we were going to be doing when we rented his spot. And it's a whole long thing. But anyway, it was a bunch of stuff. And we had plans to expand at his place because there was 2 units side by side, but we wanted to play it safe and just rent the first one at first. And so we had wrote into the contract that we'd have the first right at the spot next to us. Well, all that kind of stuff started coming to light right at the beginning. And anyway, we were still trying to work things out on that. And then we also were expanding so fast, we needed that space. Well, he just went in out from under us and rented it to this guy. And so it was like, and that was kind of one of our, things that we were selling to our members. We're like, look, we're going to expand really fast because, I mean, that was our plan, and that still is our plan. We still want to keep growing, keep getting more. But that's what we were telling our people. And all of a sudden this guy just screwed us, and so it was a real bad situation real fast. And so we ended up bringing Marcus aboard, like I said. And so we had that again, we had a little bit more money to play with now. So now we just started looking. We didn't tell our landlord anything yet. We just kind of played with it, like whatever, we'll just stay here. And anyway, so we started looking really fast to find a different building. And we found another location, and it was 5,000. And the location we started in was 2,000 square feet. And we didn't realize, if you could tell how small it was, we didn't realize how much equipment we quite had
Right.
until we got in there. Man, it was it was the most depressing thing ever when we started moving in. I mean, literally, I was about to quit that the first like day as soon as we moved. I mean, we literally moved in the stuff from my garage, and it filled that place. I mean, it filled it comfortably. So I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, we still had 3 other garages of equipment. So I mean, I was ready to quit right there, but I finagled it around and we made it work. And I mean, it was tight. Don't get me wrong, but the pictures made it look a lot worse in person. Most people would say like, oh yeah, it is a lot bigger than what it looked like. But I mean, it was tight. But anyway, so we started looking for that other building, and we finally we found a 5,000 square foot building that was only a couple miles away from where we currently were. And this was, this is only 2 months after we opened up from COVID here. So everybody's still kind of worried if we were going to shut down again. So any place we tried to rent from, they were holding that over our head and like, well, we don't really feel comfortable, bringing in a gym that's brand new and in times like this. And so there was just like no negotiating power when we were trying to work out a deal with these places. And so anyway, I had just been, we had a realtor friend that was helping us find this, and we were just having a hard time, and there just wasn't anything on the market for what we were looking for. And I was looking through Facebook Market, and I just happened to see this building, and it was just like the crappiest pictures, and it was only the outside. You couldn't see anything, but it was 7,000 square feet, and it was the same price as the 5,000 square foot. So we're like, man, and we had already checked out that one, and we were real close to just, taking the deal that the guy was going to give us on that one. But man, he was just giving us a really hard time. So that was the only thing holding us up. If the guy would have just made the deal, we would have been at that place. But it was a good thing he didn't, because we finally, and that was the other thing, we couldn't get a hold of the landlord that we are currently with. It's an older guy. I mean, he's probably in his 80s or so, and he's not very technological savvy or whatever, and so he just had a friend post it for him or something. So it was real difficult to get a hold of him. And essentially we had the contract drawn up for the other place, and we were about to sign it, but we gave it a couple more days, and we finally got a hold of that guy. So we went and looked at it, and instantly we're like, oh, this is the place. So so that's where we're currently at. And so we made a deal with that guy, and then that's when we were like, well, we got to go talk to our landlord over here. So anyway, as soon as we did that, he essentially just like instantly let us out of our contract, because I mean, A, he already broke our contract, but B, he knew he would, he was going to be in trouble for kind of where we were at with everything. And so he let us out, and we made the move over a weekend, and a bunch of our members helped out. So it was pretty awesome. And so we've already, it was just like a breath of life over there, because at the other place, we were already cramped in, and we all had plans already there were so many other things we wanted. And so once we were over there was a lot of room to work with. And so, so we really started, expanding really fast. And I mean, we've probably, I forgot how many now. It's like 25 probably now machines in the last 2 months that we've added.
Wow.
And then plus we just did that little powerlifting area. And so it's been there's a lot of plans still we got in place that we want to do over there. I mean, we still want to set up a bunch of strongman stuff. There's I don't know if you've ever seen the front of our building, but it's basically, there's like a loading dock on one side, and like right outside of our garage doors.
Yeah, I think I have seen that.
Yeah, one of the cool ideas that we had as far as this strongman stuff is we were talking about putting an old beat up car right up on the ledge and building like a car deadlift platform. So it's like right on the ledge, right as you come out there, and let people tag all over it and stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of some plans we got there, is to build we want to build out a whole strongman area. We actually have this like whole other carport area that's outside, that's also kind of our area. But we haven't really messed with anything, right? People just park under there for right now, but Eventually we're going to build that out to be a strongman area. And then, like I said, we have that detached garage. We're just kind of using it for storage right now, but we're going to use that as a posing room for our bodybuilders and have like classes out of there. And then we want to start up a podcast. We actually have a little room in the back that's going to be our podcast room. So that's something we need to work on. And then we up top of all our offices, it's like a bunch of duct work and wires up there right now, and it's not like sturdily supported yet. But our plans eventually are to like build that up too and have like all our cardio equipment up there, get a lot more, and kind of have that overlooking the gym. And we have some rooms that are off to the side. We want to, rent those out to like massage therapists and stuff like that. So we got 100 different plans. We're just trying to tackle one thing at a time. I mean, that's just like off the top of my head. I mean, these are just a few things. I mean, there's so many things that we got in the works. I mean, we're trying to really, truly make something one of a kind, and so a lot of different things.
Yeah. I mean, what's really cool about everything that you talked about is that you're making it a one-stop shop for everything. Yeah. You want to power lift? Great. You want to body build? Great. You want a strongman? Great.
Yeah.
You want to get a massage? Great.
Yeah.
I mean, you've really done a phenomenal job on hitting all of it. And so you talked about, just to back up a little bit, you talked about how you wanted to start off as more or less a powerlifting gym, but what kind of got you going in multiple directions? Was it the bodybuilder who had bought into it that has kind of opened your eyes to other options, or what really got that, what got that going?
So that was, like I said, with the Nautilus stuff, that's when we kind of realized that there's some cool equipment out there, and so once we realized that there was that was how, because I was always worried, like a powerlifting gym, it's not, and everybody told us never to open up a gym. Everybody. I mean, that's the one business you don't want to get into. Everybody tells you so hard and, whatever. And so anyway, I was always kind of worried, powerlifting gym is a pretty, niche thing. And so we wanted to be able to spread it out a little bit. And we always kind of wanted, and, Steve is my first partner that we had. He comes from the bodybuilding background as well. So, I mean, he always wanted, I was the one that forced him into powerlifting basically. So now he's kind of going back to getting into the bodybuilding stuff, but so, we always kind of wanted to have that too. We always kind of wanted to own, those two things, but it really was going to just start off mostly a powerlifting gym. But like I said, that's whenever we kind of found that Nautilus stuff. And then that's when it really started opening up, that there's some really cool, unique stuff out there. So we're like, okay, now this is where this is what's going to set us apart. And this is actually what's going to make us successful in this and really be different. And so that's when we just started really doing some research and heavily digging into it and just trying to really find this unique stuff that was going to set us apart. And so that's kind of how we got into the bodybuilding stuff. And we just kind of always liked the strongman stuff, I've always wanted to compete in it. There was never any local competitions. The one that there was the meet that I was doing my world records at. And so obviously I had to take the choice to do my records rather than do a strongman competition. Mm-hmm. So we've always wanted to do it. We just never had the time to travel with it. And so we definitely want to expand in that area as well. That's just kind of been the last thing right now. We're really trying to get the powerlifting area going now, since we've had so much focus on the bodybuilding stuff. And so,
do you want to eventually host powerlifting meets there?
Oop, sorry, my phone's. We've actually kind of already looked into doing that, and so USPA is who I normally compete with. But here recently it's been getting really popular in Oklahoma. And so, they've already booked up like every month for next year. And so, wow. They basically told us that we wouldn't be able to get a meet with them. And so I reached out to some guys with the USAPL and, So we're going to try to get a couple meets set up with them. And we actually have the Oklahoma University powerlifting team that trains at our gym. And so we were wanting to try to set up something, to do a meet for them as well. And USAPL is pretty big into the collegiate stuff. So we were going to see about doing like an OU meet and then having like a regular meet just for anybody. So those are kind of the plans there. But yeah, we definitely want to host some competitions. We'll probably even do some just like on our own that won't be sanctioned, just to have fun. And maybe eventually when we have the strongman stuff too, we'll host some of those. But yeah, that's definitely, we want to do a lot of events, but like I said, like I was telling you, all the plans we have we get so excited, our minds are running 100 different directions, and we're trying to like nail down one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And we're kind of, so we definitely want to run a lot of events. So that's something we'll be doing here in the future for sure.
Well, that'll definitely not only expand your base, but give you other options for monetization. I mean, that's going to be, especially for you guys. I mean, it just really seems like the sky's the limit with everything that you guys are offering. I mean, with especially the machines, I think that's one of the coolest things about what you guys are, because I just can't get over some of the stuff that you guys have. How many Nautilus pieces do you have?
I think there's 12, I think. So we got the 9 originally, and then we got another.
Do you have the full line of like the full 12 that would be in the one cycle for his HIIT workouts?
No. What we have is we have the behind the neck lat machine. We have the pullover. We have the torso arm pull down. We have the double shoulder, the rowing torso, the double chest, the leg curl, the prone leg curl, the leg extension, the hip and back, the tricep, and the bicep. I think that's all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we really want to get the center driven leg extension. So I've been looking for that for a while. I've found a couple of them, but they're either too far, or people won't respond to my messages, or they want too much, or so that's something we're trying to find.
Yeah.
But the center drive would be a lot better than the one we currently have.
Sure.
That did you see the David pieces that we picked up?
I did, yes, if I remember correctly.
The David leg extension that we just got is a center driven one.
Yes,
and
yes, I did see
those
that.
That leg extension and leg curl is those are probably the two best pieces we have in the entire gym. They're just absolutely absurd.
What's the difference between it? Like, is it just the way the weight feels?
Yeah, basically. So they're both like they both have a center drive. So the leg extension, it's straight from the middle. So you're not loading that one leg heavier. That's where the arm comes from. And then on top of it, it puts your quads in such a deep stretch. It's like doing a sissy squat almost, but it's absolutely, I mean, it's literally, it's excruciating. I mean, whenever you do it, you literally, as soon as you're done, like it's got a seatbelt too, that it drives your hips back so that it will isolate the quads, take your hips out of it. And, I mean, literally, as soon as you get down with your set, you're ripping that seatbelt off and you're jumping out of it just because it hurts just having your legs in it after you use it, just because it's so stretched. And so it's just the position it's in is just, it's awesome. But it has a cam too, and it's a really aggressive cam. So it's a difficult machine. And not only that, but the weight stack is just absolutely absurd. It has so we didn't realize it at first. This was another interesting trip that we did, was picking up those pieces. And the day before we went, And I mean, we were in communication with this guy for like 3 weeks. You know, whenever we do these things, especially when we're going far, we typically try to get a whole trailer load of stuff. Essentially, we just kind of like buy, you know, go ahead and pay or pay deposits or whatever, and just work it out with everybody to come the same day. And that day we ended up leaving at 4:00 in the morning. And we went to Wichita, Kansas first, picked up a Body Masters pec deck. And then the guy had a just this old school pec deck. I could never figure out what it was, but it was one of the ones that just has like the pads on the arms. Mm-hmm. And he had it for sale for listed at $300, and he was just desperate to get rid of it. I mean, he just wanted it out of his garage, and he was like $200, $100. They're like, no, man, sorry. And finally, he got down to $50. So we were like, oh, I guess we'll take it. So we ended up picking that up, and so anyway, we grabbed that, and then we drove all the way up to I can't remember where it was, but it was up by Kansas City. But the day before, the guy had messaged me on those David pieces. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, they're in my basement, and we just had a bad rain here, and you're gonna have to go up like a really big hill, and it's all muddy." So we're like, "Oh, awesome!" So we show up, and it was like this really nice house. I mean, it was probably like $1 million house or so. I mean, it was really nice. And anyway, the guy had like a full on like movie theater in his basement, and wow. It was like a full gym down there and a living area and a bar. And anyway, so we go to move these machines, and they're just like extremely heavy. And so we hate to take the weight stacks out of machines just because we've moved so many machines. We can typically handle it, but this was just no way we were getting these out like that. And so we actually got the leg curl out without having to take the stack out. But anyway, it says 300 on the stack, so we're thinking 300 pounds. But it never like dawned on me that these machines are made over in Finland, is where the company's from. Oh. And so, well, it turns out they're 300 kilo weight stacks. So, yeah. So we're like, so the way the David machines work, it's this really unique weight stack. So it has a weight stack up to 100 kilos, you know, your normal weight stack. But then on either side, there's these two giant blocks that run down the whole side. And they have these little latches that you like latch into the top plate of the stack. So what happens is those two plates, they weigh 100 kilos, or they weigh 150. Sorry. So they're 75 each. And then the whole stack is 150. So you go down the stack to 150. And then what you do is you lock in the two latches at the top, and it locks into that top plate. And then you take your pin out, and now you're at 160 because the two blocks are 75 each, and then that's 10. So that's how it has that's how it allows it to have such a big stack without it just being ridiculously tall. And so again, when we were taking the weight stack off, you know, we took all the plates off, and I mean, they felt kind of heavy, but I mean, you know, it was only, I mean, they're 20 pounds. So it was close enough to not really, you know, like think enough about it. But when we went to go pick up those blocks, they're attached together. You have to bolt both of them together when you use them. You can't use one. And so there's a bar that runs across the back that attaches them. And so we went to take that off, and you know, this should only weigh 150 pounds. And so we're like, what the, like, this was just the most crazy thing we're trying to pick up. I mean, we literally couldn't pick it up. We're like, what the heck? And so we're just like sitting there scratching our head this whole time. We're like, there is no way that is 150 pounds. And so we finally got it loaded on the dolly and got it up. We finally somehow managed to get that stuff out this basement and around this giant muddy hill. And we went ahead and put the stack all back together on the trailer, just so we didn't have we didn't want to lose any parts, and we didn't want to have, you know, parts sliding around. And so anyway, we just got back, and we were still thinking this is 300 pounds, but we're like, there's still no way. And everybody we had a bunch of members waiting for us to help us. Cause I mean, this was like a 20-hour day. I mean, by the time we got back, it was like 9:30 or something by the time we got back, and we had left at 4 a.m. And so we had like 15 members or something waiting for us when we got back, because all our people are really cool, and they were helping us unload, and everybody's trying out the new machines, and everybody was doing the leg extension and just like couldn't figure out why it was so heavy. And so this is where I reached out to all those cool people that are collectors, and I was like, hey, what's the deal with these David machines? Like why is that weight stack so heavy? And someone had finally told me that it was in kilos. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So what's crazy is I know a couple people that have like the bicep or the tricep or like the shoulder machines, and they said that they have like 280 kilo stacks on them.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, it's just crazy. Yeah, so I don't even know
how's anybody doing that amount of weight?
Nobody hasn't yet. I think the most somebody's done on ours is probably like 170 or so. I mean, I don't even think anybody's gotten up to 200.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, it's just such a difficult machine as is, and then plus it's got a cam on it, and so I mean, it's just all around. Like it would be impossible. I mean, I don't know how anybody would do it.
A lot of juice. A lot of juice. You'd have to bring your own needles and do it at the same time, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, those are some really cool stories. That's one of the things I was wanted to pick your brain about, is just hear some of the stories, because I mean, every machine in a way has its own story.
It does, yeah.
What out of all the equipment that you picked up, what's been or what is your favorite right now?
Oh man, yeah, that's a hard one. But yeah, that's what I always tell people too. Is I mean, literally every piece in there, I could tell them exactly where it was, how much we paid for it, where we went, everything that happened on that trip, and there really is a story behind it, and it makes those pieces, it makes them mean a lot more, and we take a lot more pride in what we have than your other gyms just going out, taking out a loan and just calling up Hammer Strength and telling them to give them a whole gym. I mean, these things were bought with a purpose. But anyway, my favorite machine that we have, man, I like the H squat. We use that probably every single leg day. I'd have to name a few. I like the standing chest press too, and the pullover. Those would probably be like the top three for me.
Yeah. I picked up my pullover. Boy, it's been, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a month ago or so, and I couldn't believe the deal I got on that, and I was so glad to finally get one. And it really, that's a game changer, man. Which that was Arthur Jones's first piece, so it's no surprise.
So. Yeah, the pullover is awesome, man. Everybody loves it. The chain ones are the best. We actually have owned 3 pullovers over our time. That was actually the first Nautilus piece I ever owned. Was a pullover. The same one it's like just like the same one we have, and it was actually in the neighborhood directly next to mine. I mean, literally 5 minutes away from me, and it was posted, I think, for like $150 or something, and it was on there for several months, and no one had ever bought it. And we didn't even, this was long before we ever even knew what was what. And I ended up getting it for $50.
Oh,
and
wow.
And it sat in my garage. And again, this was kind of before we knew anything, and this was still before we really had serious thoughts of opening the gym. And so at the time, we used it for a little while, but it just like wasn't practical to have in the garage. It was just such a large piece. And so, but again, if I had known what it was and known how to use it correctly, then it would have been awesome. But I ended up trading it to a guy that had a pretty cool little old school gym as well, in Stillwater and Oklahoma. And I traded him for just some stupid like ISO row. It wasn't Hammer or anything. It was a company called Pioneer that was made in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's pretty similar to a Hammer, but at the time it was just to us that was a way better piece. And the funny thing is we were thinking we came out on top on that deal. And so that guy he knew what he got out of it. And so it was cool. And then after, when we realized what it was, we were just banging our heads against the wall, thinking like, what the heck, man, it was the key piece to all this. And
Yeah.
And then I've owned a Nautilus ab machine before. Those are pretty collectible too and hard to find. The crunch ones that actually the whole machine crunches up.
Mm-hmm.
I got one of those for $20 one time, and I fully restored it, and I sold it for like $400 or something. And again, I didn't even know it was a Nautilus machine until after the fact. And then so yeah, we ended up finding we got another deal. Our second pullover that we ended up getting, there was a gym here in Oklahoma City that was an all women's gym, and it had been closed down for a while. And anyway, it popped up a deal on Facebook. They had 5 Nautilus Nitro machines for like $300 and for all of them. And I was in class at the time, and it was posted for like 5 minutes. I messaged the lady. I was like, hey, I want these. I was like, what's your phone number? I'll call you right now. I just want you to know, like, I'm serious about it. I'll be there. And she gave me her number, and I told her, I was like, all right, I'm on my way. I literally just up and left school, and I was driving. I had to stop and get the cash out, and she calls me. She's like, hey, the bid's up to like $350 now or something. I'm like, what the heck? I told you I was on the way. And she's like, so I was like, okay, I'll give you $350. I was like, I'm coming right now though. So I ended up getting all 5 of those machines for $350. And so it had a pullover in that. But that's like the belt driven one, and
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't feel good. I mean, it didn't feel right. But at that point we did know what a pullover was. It just wasn't the right feel, and we ended up selling I think we sold all 5 of those for like $2,400, like within a week. So then from there, that's kind of where it really jump started us kind of getting serious about opening the gym. Cause again, we had money to start buying some stuff. But then our third pullover was early in January. I found another one in the OKC area, and it was just in some guy's garage gym. And we got that one for $150 too. So it was a crazy deal.
Still not a bad deal.
Yeah, still, it was actually way better because this one still has the labels or the serial numbers and everything. And it's a much cleaner one than the one we had originally. So we definitely came out on top ended up getting that one. So I'm glad we did.
That's awesome.
Yeah. There's endless stories of this stuff, man. If we had all the equipment that we ever had, we'd fill 5 of the gyms we currently have. I mean,
wow.
We've gone through a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of trial and error, and there's been a lot of pieces. We reached out to those people, and if it just didn't live up to that standard, then we just being the best or just being really rare, then we just sold it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's been a lot of pieces that, I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff that we had, but just like, I mean, you can go to Gold's and use that machine, like we wanted to have something that nobody had. So
right. That's awesome, man. Done. Well, there's no doubt that you guys are going to continue to have success. You guys have a really good plan together, and that's pretty obvious. So
appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I know we're out of time, but man, those are some cool stories, and look forward to watching you guys grow more. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. And so I got 2 more questions before we close.
Okay.
I always like to close my my podcast with this. So if you give me the one word or a short phrase of your definition of strength?
Strength. That's a tough one. Strength. Huh. I don't know how to phrase what I'm thinking in my head right now. I'm trying to think of the words. Man, I just, I guess just not giving up, I guess, would be my short phrase. Just like that's how we did, man. Like I said, it's taken strength to do what we've done. I mean, it's been like the impossible. And there's been a lot of times where we wanted to give up before, we got all this thing started. So that's for sure. And just in general strength, I mean, there's a lot of people, like if you're lifting heavy, I mean, you just got to fight through, not give up. So I guess that would be, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that'd be the way I'd word it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How about leadership?
Leadership. It would just be an example. Just leading by example, I guess.
Yeah, I like it.
That's what we try to do. We try to not follow anybody else and do our own thing, do it different. And, we have some weird stuff. Somebody actually told us that one time. Somebody literally, and whenever we were at our original location, this guy actually came in one time. That was, we try to have a personal level with all our people, because we have like a 24-hour system, and we let people come in and do day passes even when we're not there. And anyway, this guy came by one time, and he was the only person there. So I drove out to just go meet him, and that was literally the first thing he said. He's like, "Man, this place is really small, and you guys got some really weird stuff here." I was just like, "Thanks, man." But yeah, we don't. I don't care what people say about that. I mean, that's we're leading on our own, and we're doing it by example.
Absolutely.
And, we're doing our own path. So
I mean, when you don't know what it is and how it's used, I guess anybody could say anything is weird in a way. It's that uncomfortable and unknown of what something is, what the purpose is for, really, I guess. So so to close here, I always like to give people an opportunity. So use the opportunity now. This is your shameless plug. How can people find you online, physically, website, anything? Go ahead. Give it your shot.
All right. The best way to follow us or whatever would be on Instagram. That's where we're the most active. And you're going to be talking to me whenever you talk on Instagram. So I'm the one that kind of does all our social media stuff. Our Instagram is at Trinity _ and then it's strength, and then instead of the E there's a 3, and then it's _ gym. And then on Facebook it's Trinity Strength Training. We have a Facebook page and a group. We don't get on Facebook as much, and then we have a website that's being developed, so that's not fully done yet, but Instagram is the best way to go for right now. And then our gym is located in Moore, Oklahoma, at 240 Industrial Boulevard. So that's where you can find us.
Awesome. And if you're from outside the area, if I ever have a reason to go to Oklahoma, it would be for that. So
yeah, there's nothing else here. So I don't know why you'll be here, but yeah.
Well, one day, man, I hope to make it out there and get a chance to train with all the weird stuff. So
yeah. For sure. I need to, you're in Ohio, you said, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah, I still need to make it up there, man. That's always been a dream of ours, to go to the Arnold and go to all the, West Side and Elite FTS, and there's a lot of cool stuff up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of background here, and the Arnold's insane. It's absolutely insane. So, I mean, if you, especially if the Arnold is open this year, man, let me know. I'll be more than happy to meet up with you down there. So,
yeah, that'd be awesome.
We'll have a good time, brother.
Yeah.
So, well, Cody, man, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, brother. Well, you guys have a good one, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
man. You
Thanks,
too.
man. See ya.
See ya.